Guys, here's another video. I'm not sure if I'm covering this video or not, but here we go. So I'm trying to make a better audio, but whatever. So this is what if Issei was the shield hero. Now, this is going to be a very difficult one to do on a few simple facts. Finding fan art of Issei with the shield hero shield is difficult. I know his name is Nafumi, but whatever. Anyway, finding Issei with Nafumi's shield is so difficult to do. I couldn't find it. I just found him with the Nafumi shield. So in this version, whatever. In this version, there's a big difference. Instead of Nafumi being the one to grab that book, it was Issei, and it was mainly just by chance as well. Now, whenever he was flipping through the pages, and this was supposed to be a weird book that was supernatural. They had to go inspect it, for probable clause to keep the supernatural world kind of club in check, so they could actually keep the club. Well, it wasn't really a big deal, but whatever. Now, Issei was looking through it, and they found this magical seeming book, and Issei said, I can handle it. Even boosting himself up to 7 times, making sure whenever he turned the pages, he noticed it was a pretty good light novel, and he actually said, this is badass. And then he starts flipping it again, and then said, here it is. Boom. The shield hero. Wait, why are the pages blank? And then things start to go. And he thinks, no, this can't be happening. As everyone sees him basically vanish in the book. With the book. And they're all confused. But this doesn't center around them. Now, this making it where Issei... And this is when Issei's in his... This is a year after High School DxD is over. It is a year after that. So, they all look like... Reese is gone. I'd say Issei is the king of the occult research club now. So yeah, whenever he went, and Kiba's his vice president. Now, they were a little bit surprised. Because they noted that it was so weird. So very, very weird. Issei, whenever he got up, he had Drake on his left arm and the shield hero's shield on his right. He was a slight bit confused. And he actually was more confused than Issei. Well, the other heroes were like, did he get 2 weapons? Now, Issei was wondering, mainly, did Ascalon still work? Alright, I'm back, sorry. Everyone wants to be on me when I'm making videos. So anyway, back to what if. So, Issei stands up, and after this year, he's trained with it to the point where his base power is about equivalent to Cyber-Org with the gear. And Sir Zex has to go with him. It takes Cyber-Org and Sir Zex jumping Issei for them to have any chance at beating him. And it's still a very, very low chance. Now, this does mean a few different things. One, Issei's straight up 1-to-1 power is overwhelming that of everyone in the entire existence. And now that he's got the shield boost, it doesn't really matter who attacks him, they won't do anything. Not like anyone in this entire world could even hurt him in the beginning. But back to the whole thing. Now, Issei's doing his thing. He didn't really recognize this, but he's like, whatever, I'll just make my own life. He's kind of upset because he got taken away from his harem and everything. So he was really upset. And at this point, Issei's already considered the top underworld dude. He's that guy. He's basically the most dangerous of the demons ever. He's basically gonna be the next big thing. He's already at the point where he can keep up with the Great Red and Ophis, but he's not quite at their rank yet. He's number 3 in the world, the strongest in existence. Then it goes Ophis and then Great Red. So yeah, he's no slouch over. And he can feel every power in this world is nothing to him. The strongest people around may be about as powerful as high-class devils at most, which he thinks is kind of weak, which he's pretty accurate is. So he's just walking around doing his thing, and well, I mean, not really walking around, but he's thinking real quick, and he's like, okay, I've got Drake out. so I may as well act like it's my actual weapon, base weapon. But then he's wondering a little bit, is Ascalon even still working? Now, he's not going to test that right now, but he will later. So he checks it and it says, and he checked a little bit of his things real quick, and it said, you're not allowed to use anything other than your shield, and only blunt things, like you can use armor and gauntlets and stuff like that, because they're not weapons, but you're not allowed to use a sword. And then he was thinking, maybe Ascalon could work if he just had it in his, like, brass knuckle version of it, where it's just coming out the side of it instead of being a regular sword. Well, he's gonna check out that in a minute. Now, they go to meet the king, and Issei's he's a good bit upset with them, because, who wouldn't be? And they say this, they completely skip over the shield hero, though they are a little bit surprised he has another thing of armor already, especially since it's a crimson, like, gem, with a green gem. It looks almost as powerful as the legendary weapons. It's actually a lot more powerful, but whatever. So, he was actually kind of confused, like, he was ignored, and then he said, hey, king! And they were like, who do you think you're talking to? The first thing that they were saying is, who do you think you're talking to? That's the king. And then Issei said, you act like I should care. I'm above kings, I'm above gods. I am the Red Dragon Emperor. And yeah, Issei at this point has kind of got a little bit of a god complex, because he kind of is. Like, other than Great Red and Ophis, no one has ever been able to slow him down in a fight. And that's complete facts. Now, at this point, he doesn't think anyone here could actually fight him. So he doesn't really care. But he just said, whatever. My name is Issei Hyodo. I'm 17. Actually, no, I think I'm 18. And I'm the shield hero. My hobbies include fighting and training. And then the king actually asked something that was unexpected, since he just thought it made it. What does Red Dragon Emperor mean? And then he said, it means that I'm the wielder of the Red Dragon, Drake, the most dangerous dragon other than the top two in existence. Other than myself, no one can win a fight against him. Other than the top two. It's me and two others that have ever been able to be surpassed in that. Oh, so it was the fourth strongest thing in existence. That's not a bad number to be on, to be fair. Alright, whatever. Now, anyway, back to this thing. Issei just does not, like, whenever, like, he says whatever, like the whole thing of the king, and they're like, alright, well, tomorrow, you must rest tonight, and tomorrow you will get your parties and everything. And Issei's like, that's pretty sweet. Now, they walk, and they're like, oh, was it like to you? And they start explaining facts about their world, and they have no clue what half this stuff is going on. But then they ask Issei, who are you? Because he reminds them a lot of a cartoon show they saw, because I'm going to say in this world it actually exists, High School DxD. And he said, it's actually kind of odd, because y'all remind me a lot of this anime I watched, The Rising of the Shield Hero. What? They were all confused. Like, yeah. The Rising of the Shield Hero was about this guy who had about these 4 heroes. Now, the Shield Hero gets betrayed. And sword, bow, and spear don't really care. Well, I mean, sword and bow, like, they do some stuff to help, like, the spear is just a jerk the whole time. Moriyasu's saying, hey, that's messed up, man. The spear right here is pretty good, right? I mean, man, it was the same name, so I don't know. But whatever, I'm not even gonna mess with that. I only, like, watched, like, half the first episode and then fell asleep. Really, man? Yeah, I got bored. Well, you remind me a lot of the character I know, Issei Hyodo from High School DxD. And they were like, really? Yeah, except for the whole thing about you not being were you killed by a crazy chick? And they were actually thinking, because, like, these felt like they were from different animes. And they were like, what? Because in each other world, the other one was from an anime. Now, then Issei said something. How much of the anime of mine did y'all watch? And then then they said, man, I watched the first season. One of the others said, I watched like 2 seasons. One other said, I watched all 4 seasons. That was it. Oh, so you never got, so where did that go to? You fought a dude named Cyber Org and won. I makes sense. Any other differences? Well, I mean, that Kiba chick was pretty cool. It's like, wait, Kiba? That's a dude. What? In my world, in my world, it's a chick. And then one says, oh, that Konako dude, he's pretty powerful. That's a chick. Well, in my world, it's a dude. And they all, like, go through this, and they see the differences, and, like, well, maybe none of us can actually rely on the shit we've heard. Anyway, the next day, they go to see this whole, like, see the thing, and the party still goes the same way they did. Like, they're like, oh, he has no idea what's going on in this world. So then Issei's thinking, I can make soloing work. After all, I can fight straight up demons here like they're like nothing. Maybe I can try to contact like the afterlife here. Maybe see if I can be like the true shield here. Like, see who the real people are. And in this version, Devil of the Shield is too accurate. Now, things go somewhat similar to how they do in canon for Nafumi. Because the second that happens, like, he still has no one on his team. But then, Mine still volunteers, and he's like, makes sense. But then, she does something very messed up the next day. Because Issei, he actually said, I'm going to test something. Ascalon! As the blade appears through his form of his gauntlet. And he said, Drake, boost me. And every, like, swing he would take would stab clean to, like, 30 of these things. And he really didn't care, and he was swinging this thing, like, side to side to side to side to side to side. He had no problem cutting down these things. But then he thought, whew, this was difficult to do. I really should have trained more with the sword. Like this, and I only ever used it like a few times. Anyway, he actually thought, wait, Vias did say I could promote anytime I wish, because now I'm not the kind of like king. So he said promotion, queen, promotion, rook, promotion knight. He did all the different promotions to all his different forms, and he was ready for anything. Like, he even did the trio thing, like, against, like, very powerful things. At the end of the day, he was, like, level 30. Not really level 30, nah. He was level 10. Now, he has the highest level at this point, and he sees the other heroes, he's like, what's up, guys? And like, hey, man, what level do you get today? And he's like, well, I'm level 10, man. No way. That's even above mid. That's even above mid. I forgot his name, guys, sorry. That's even above, Rin, Itsuki, and, I forgot the last dude's name, the spear hero. Motoyasu, yeah. It's even above Motoyasu, who got level 8. And they said, that's pretty cool, But how'd you do with just a shield? And then he said, oh, come here. And they all went down to Issei's room, and Issei said, alright guys, this is gonna freak out a little bit. So check this out. Ascalon! As Ascalon formed, and he said, as he explained sacred gears and stuff like that, and how Ascalon is technically his real, is a sword, but he has it like this, so he's allowed to use it. It's more like brass knuckles in this point. And they were like, makes sense. Wait, and then then Ren said, wait, if it's a sword, then can I copy it? And then Issei's like, what? Yeah, our weapons have the ability to copy other weapons. Wait, what? Yeah, it's an ability we have. We can copy any weapon we see that's the same weapon as ours. Well, why would you want to copy my sword? Well, I mean, it looks pretty cool. I mean, yeah, it is. It's the best sword ever, basically. Dude, it's a holy dragon slaying sword, dude. Not something to mess with. Wait, so it's really that powerful? Sword alone, yeah, but I'm not gonna let you copy it. Why not, man? Well, it's literally the most legendary weapon that probably would ever be gracing this planet, other than Drake, his gauntlet. Who's Drake? And he says, my boosted gear. As Drake speaks, you 3 heroes. Train well. You may be good allies in the future. Now, this goes way different than what happened in canon. Now, whenever, like, Mine tries, like, doing the whole thing she did, trying to sneak in at night, Drake is asleep too, like, they're all, like, passed out. Now, Issei actually did put, like, hide his money. He's like, I ain't trusting nobody here. For all I know, they're gonna take my money. And he doesn't trust people, so he wouldn't let them take his money, so yeah. So he kind of hid it the way he felt like he needed to. He hid it in the boosted gear. And he actually was kind of thinking about hiding some in the shield too, because he wasn't. But he only hid as much as he wanted in the shield. A little bit in the boosted gear too. Now, the next day, the whole thing happened, same thing as in canon, and Issei's kind of pissed off, because he thinks he knows what this is about. But then, something very messed up happens. He opens his eyes and sees something terrifying. She's doing the same thing, and this got the same rage from Issei as it did from Naofumi. Now, when they took the swing at Issei, the guards went to go seize him, and the first thing that happened when they did, they were grabbed and snapped like twigs. One guard's arm was broken, and he just got slapped into like the wall. The guards were refusing to seize him because that was the strongest of the guards. And then that one dude, Motoyasu, he actually goes to grab Issei's shoulder the way he did in Naofumi, but in this version, when he goes to do it, first thing that happens is he gets yeeted by the shield, popping him back off and saying, "Touch me, and I will tear your throat out, little man." Hearing this, it's terrifying him. Because they showed a good night, they weren't expecting what happened. Now, the bow and sword hero feels there's something a little bit fishy, and the spear hero is even like, I don't think it's all that accurate. I don't think it's right. Now, they go back to doing their thing, and things go kind of like in canon. First thing that happened was someone picked him up, and Issei said, "Stop, I'm innocent, so if you hit me, I will kill you." This scaring him as demon wings pop, as he's about to pop his demon wings out and kill this guy, but then dude puts him down and apologizes, and even giving him the same cloak. But all Issei has, from what he was wearing, is a red t-shirt. That's it. Like, his red t-shirt was what he slept in, though, so that's all he has. It's that and a pair of, like, pants, as well as a little pair of shoes. That's it. So he's basically walking with just his red t-shirt, a green cloak, and all that, with 2 weapons always out, because he's never going to put them up. He still did the same thing Fumi did by throwing money at her and basically doing that whole thing when he left. But, like, whenever people try to mess with Issei, he doesn't even need the balloons. He just turns on the demon eyes and just terrifies them. And uses spells, like, people who, like, threaten him. He will just scare them. Now, those 3 dudes who jumped Naofumi at the tavern go way differently. So, 1, the homie with the knife that got blocked by Naofumi. In this version, when he did that knife thing, first thing that happened was Ascalon came out, about to cut the dude's head off. But right when he did it, he just sucked it back in and socked him in the mouth, sending him flying. As the other guys were all running with him, they were all getting out of there. As the same dude came out to say the same stuff. "My boy, you need a slave." And then Issei, feeling broken, saying, "What do you got?" Now, confused about what's going on. Now, he looks through it and he finds Raftalia the same way Naofumi did, and his heart just won't let him do it. It reminds him too much of Koneko for some reason. As he said, "Dang it," and he throws something, and he just says, "Here," and takes the money and tries doing the same thing. Like, he actually had a few phoenix tears and other healing, like, objects, and that he used, even the healing magic, and things that could get rid of this kind of stuff. And he does use them. He uses them, and he cures Raftalia. But now, Raftalia is kind of a demon. As the demon wings pop out of her back, she asks what this is. As he said, "I am the devil. Now you are one too. You are my knight." Hearing this, she's ecstatic. Now, she has a slave crest, and is kind of, like, also enslaved by, and she's also a servant to Issei, because he is a king at this point. And, while he did just make her into a knight, noted that it was really hard to do with as powerful as she is, but he can make her that powerful. Now, next he's going to go through, the same things happen. Like, he's going, saving villages with Raftalia. Now, they do this whole first way the same way, but, like, in this version, when they're protecting the town, at one point, when Issei had to, like, show, like, his full force blocking, like, the volley of fireballs that Naofumi blocked, in this version, Issei said, "This is nothing to a dragon," as he boosted himself once, and even transferred a little bit of scale mail to Raftalia, so she has, like, red gauntlet armor and everything. Now, she doesn't have Drake, but she did get, like, a boost from Issei, like, when the transfer happened. So she had enough power to easily start destroying, like, monster after monster. Now, at this point, there's a huge difference than what happened in canon. Those knights that fought with him, the whole thing, that kind of still happens. But in this version, whenever the other heroes, like, are going to do talk to smack, something very different happens. Now, Issei is thinking, alright, let's eat, and everything, so he's eating food and all that, doing his normal thing with Raftalia next to him, and then, you know, the princess still does the same stuff, and at this point, something completely different happens. So when they're doing the same stuff, she gets stopped dead in her tracks. Whenever, like, they challenge Issei straight just looks at them with the rage of a dragon. His eyes turn green, scaring everyone. All he cares about is Raftalia. So anyone threatening her is the equivalent of begging for death in this world. Now, Moriyasu had straight up attacked in the same way. Now, Issei, being that he's far higher level than Moriyasu, far higher power than Moriyasu, from base, he's already more dangerous. Now he busts out the gauntlet and the shield, and he's yelled, as you just hear, boost, 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 boost. Scale mail. Now, the scale mail changed a little bit, as the shield on his arm is now incorporated into the scale mail. As the shield kind of turns into a giant red shield with the mark of the red dragon on it, which Naofumi is more than willing to use. I mean, Issei is more than willing to use, as Ascalon still came out as a sword, going toe-to-toe with the spear. But they still found a way to, like, it was a solid victory for Issei, as then the wind attack happened, and he was like, please tell me that was not supposed to be a wind attack. As he looked at her with rage, this made her drop. And she played this out as she could. He's attacking me. And, like, the king actually said that it was Moriyasu's win because Issei attacked someone in the crowd. And now, Issei's royally screwed, royally pissed off. Now, they still do the whole thing of removing the slave collar, but in this version, because, like, Issei did the same thing Naofumi did, but a little bit differently, she still values him so much that she straight up slapped Moriyasu in the mouth and said, how could you do that? He wasn't just a master to me. He has trained me, raised me, teach me all this stuff. Get out of here. And then just straight up said, no. As they walked away, and she wanted to get that slave collar back, he didn't really care. He did it. Now, they still did the same gotcha egg thing that Naofumi did in canon. But in this version, whenever they like doing the whole thing, when they get Philo, it goes into a whole different mess. And by whole different mess, I mean a whole other mess. So anyway, back to the video, guys. In this, what if there's a whole, like, different scenario that goes down than what happened in canon? Come on, fix up. Hold on a second, guys. Alright, back on it. So anyway, what happened was, whenever they raised, like, Philo, the whole thing happened, and whenever they, like, take the whole race challenge and everything, in this version, Issei's thinking about it, because he saw his healing magic mainly, like, for this world, his, like, abilities are mainly healing magic, so he, like, boosts up himself a little bit, and then actually gives it to, Philo. This made Philo just bolt down it. And Philo didn't even need to use the boost. Like, Philo was doing that, and then the boosting was something he regularly would treat her with, because she liked the power it gave her. Now, next day, everything kind of happened. Like, a little bit later, she went big, and this didn't really matter. But the next morning, when she was tiny and, blonde, kind of confused Issei a lot. Now, he wound up going out and trying to go get her clothes, and everything they got her, she would just rip apart, and that was a whole pain. They did this for a few days, going to see the blacksmith, who told them to see the clothes lady, who told them to go see the magic lady to get some magic thread. The magic lady didn't need a kind of crystal for it, so for a while they weren't able to do that. But then they found a guy who can get stuff for the crystals, and Issei still treated him and stuff, and helped him with stuff, and actually got where he can get that crystal. They went over to go grab that crystal. Same stuff happened, same creatures, bad thingies, and then that one thing that actually reminded him a little bit of Cerberus when he first fought it. He said, "Oh, this is gonna be fun," as he cracked his neck, as his supersonic attack was completely overwhelmed by Issei roaring out with rage. And being that that they are literally akin to dragons, now, Issei was considering what he should give them to, like, Philo, and actually made her a devil and gave her the power Rook, making her his Rook. Now, this made it where she was a complete monster to what she was before. Her speed was not... Now, he was debating on what to give her. What would it be? What could it be? Now, he could give her a rook or a pawn, because she has both the power and the speed. So she was thinking, maybe queen? No, she's not powerful enough for that one. And then he actually decides, pawn. She can promote at any given point that I give her allowance to do it. And he tells her this. She became his pawn. Now, this left a good bit of pieces left over. Now, they didn't get along, and they still bought Nafumi a hammer the same way that they still bought Issei a hammer the same way they would buy Nafumi a hammer, since because of Azazel and that other demon dude, he is kind of a little bit obsessed with working on things and finding new things and trying to make sacred gears as well, which he actually has already made like a phony sacred gear. At this point, it's already he's made a fake boosted gear, which allows you to boost, but it's not really it doesn't have Drake's soul stored inside it. It has a weaker variant of Drake. It has somewhat of Drake's soul, but not really that much. It's more like a second boosted gear if need be, but it's only gray, with a little bit of red hinges on it. Anyway, back to this. He's debating about letting anyone else use it, because anytime he would give it away, if he gave it to someone, there'd be some side effects. They would literally be stuck with that thing. Anyway, back to what if. So, yeah, they get Philo the magic clothes, as in canon, but in this version, whenever, they're, doing this, Issei actually gave her something to replenish her magic. It was a special kind of, gift from him. He boosted her magic up, gave her a few boosts, and transferred the power to her, and this gave her enough magic to where she could easily knock it out of the park. Now, at this point, after the magic was taken away, they literally just straight up, he pulls her over to, get her the clothes, and they made the same dress. That had to happen like canon. But that wasn't really a big deal. Now, this did mean that, when they made the dress and all that, stuff went kind of weird. So, next we've got the, point whenever the second wave hits. Now, Glass, Soul Eater thing happened, that was all kind of a pain, but Issei was kind of fighting this thing, and he noticed that it's the Soul Eater. So he's thinking, wonder what would happen if it tried eating on a dragon soul, a true one. Wait, but hold on, back up, guys. We've still got to cover the dragon incident. Wait, was that before or after the wave? I'm gonna say it was before. So yeah, the dragon incident goes way different. Whenever they see the corpse of a dragon, Issei is actually kind of disturbed. And he actually said, to see a good dragon put down like this. As they go to clean up the body, he's actually about to do it right when the dragon revives and says as a zombie dragon, and it's ate Philo. And then he said, dragon or not, you will die for this. And then, one step from Issei almost shattered the ground, and he just ripped apart the dragon. But Philo still busted out the same way as in canon, as Reptalia tried holding down Issei. Issei didn't need any holy water or nothing like that to get rid of the burns. Because he can't really mess with holy water. They can't really touch holy water anyway. So they just straight up just, boom. Phoenix Tear. Which he got from, he has only like 7 left. So he doesn't want to use them that often. But he still thought this was one of the times where he would need to. I mean, he does know a few healing spells, but they're not powerful enough to heal, like, full force burns from people messing with him at full force. But, back to the whole video. At this point, he actually sees if Philo's okay and all that, but, like, she straight up gave him the same gem and everything, and he put it in his shield, and it unlocked all the Rage series, the Curse series, the Rage shield. Now, this actually intrigued Issei, but then that night, whenever he's laying down, he sees the mindscape, and then Drake pulls him into it, and he's like, "What's up, Drake?" And the like dragon act like it was all tough stuff, and be like, "Ah, human, I see they what the," as it was like, "What are you?" And he said, "A devil." Oh, and this is Drake, heavenly class dragon, 3rd strongest being in existence, but until I became that powerful. What? You two are monsters. Yeah. Your rage even surpasses mine. Well, here, power of the curse shield. Granted. Really. It would usually eat away at its wielder, but as powerful as you are, it's probably just a toy to you. It basically makes it where the shield is similar to your boosted gear. But my power is just lift your power up and give you awesome looking armor. Nice. Now they could do the same thing, but in this version when Glass tried fighting, Issei straight up just headbutt forward, and this almost shattered her skull. This surprised her so much that someone could even keep up with her. Much less that someone could actually do this. But then Issei busts out the full power, even when going into chant for the Juggernaut Drive, which terrified Glass. Because she doesn't know what Juggernaut Drive is, for all she knows this is his most powerful ability. And, they still put her, he's about to put her in the Iron Maiden, which he still got the Iron Maiden, but right when he's about to put her in it, she basically was like, "I'm out," and just vanished. Because, he still kind of put her in there, but it hurt her so much. She was like, "I am never going back there again unless I have to." And then cracking, because one of her arms is broken and everything, she needs thorough healing. Now, we still go back to the whole thing in canon. Now, there is a difference to what happened in canon. Whenever they go back there, get their money, and leave, that goes normal. But whenever they meet, the little girl, it goes way different. They reach Melty, and the whole, dynamic goes so different. Melty, Issei still kind of helps her the same way Nafumi would. But whenever, they do that, Issei's just as kind of cold about it, because, he still got betrayed by someone who was on his side, so he was still kind of really pissed off about that. Now, this does mean that, whenever the whole reward and stuff goes, all that, yada 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 yada, that's not a big deal. But then, they try getting Moriyasu to try beating the shield, and he's actually been gifted special gear to do it. They've really gotten in the finest armor, finest gear and everything, but it doesn't do anything. This basically just made it where, right when Issei was straight up just tanking all the attacks, the princess straight up, Melty came in and was like, "Stop your shite." And Issei was like, "Wait, what? You're the princess? Dang. What is it with my problem in messing with princesses? There's so many I've already have to deal with." And he's like, "Whatever. So, what's up?" And then she was like, "Do you want to join me?" and all that. And they still go to I think his name was Earhart? Whatever, the blacksmith. They still go to him, and that whole thing happens. But in this version, they still have the no trusting thing. And right when Issei's about to leave, go to that thing to get, go to another country so they can actually get, the whole power-up thing, because they've reached max level. Now they're just training their bodies with issei. But right when they've reached that max level thing, they know something. They would need to go to a Dragon Hourglass to do it. So, yeah. They'll need to go to the church to get that power-up thing. But they can't get it right yet. Just yet. Now, they go to do that, and that was a whole pain. The whole Three Heroes Church still kind of happened, but in this version, when the Pope is, using all that magic, he stays laughing, the whole time. Because that Philo's kind of, the Queen still threatened issei. Because, they still had to deal with the same thing they had to deal with in canon. But in this version, it was, no problem. Because that, T-Rex looking thing, issei wanted to get out of that area so he can actually go all out against it. Now, in this version, he's thinking, this thing is actually powerful. I may need to actually put some effort in on this one. But then, whenever it goes to attack, issei cracks his neck and goes to swing, right when the Florial Queen attacks it. And issei says, "What? That was my first good fight. My first good fight in this world. I was going to get a good one out of that one." And then then she said, "Oh, well, I wouldn't recommend it feeding anymore. It'll just corrupt you." And he said, "No, it won't. These dragon shards are kind of like nothing to me." "What do you mean?" And he explains the whole thing. This surprised her so much, and Philo still became the queen because, whatever. She became the next Philo queen. Now, they still rode on the Philo queen, and that was not really a big deal. But in this version, whenever they had to deal with, Motoyasu, it was a pain. The first thing they had to deal with was, that fight, and it was just, him just slamming him trying to hit Naofumi with the shield, issei with the shield, with his spear, issei just straight blocked that thing and just slapped him out, into the wall. And then, the other two heroes jump in, they're in the dome thing, and, issei is thinking, oh, dang, that's a lot of people. They may have gathered enough magic to actually do something. And then issei cracks his neck. "Oh, I'm gonna whoop you as hard as I possibly can." As he backed to 1 foot up, and the first thing he did was throw a dragon shot, which took all the magic that everyone was throwing just to block. They were still in the cathedral, but everyone was just blocking. Everyone was still in the whole thing. But in this version, things go super different. As issei straight up just pimp slaps right into the mouth of the of the Pope. Now, the Queen still kind of gets there, and she didn't really need to save the day, because, issei saw the blood sacrifice, and he was like, "You know what? I deserve it. Let's see what happens." He does the blood sacrifice, and he still actually is torn apart by he wasn't expecting that. His armor crushed him. He was kind of a little bit enraged by this, because he didn't know it would do that. So he's basically just gets up, a day later, or 2, healed up with the magic and everything and all that, and he actually said, "Girls, don't worry, remember I've got that spell." "Oh yeah, you got a spell thing." Pure heal, and it just completely healed him back to full health, and he just was like, "I'm done. Not even the worst damage I've taken. Let's go." Now, what I mean by let's go, he straight was like, Now they do the whole thing with the whole double XP island and all that, and none of them even shake whenever they are on the boat. Now, this is when he does the whole thing he did in canon, the whole keep going, kind of fighting kind of spirit thing. Whenever they get there, they still meet the thing, they still kind of enhance Philo with that special, cryptic rune or whatever, yeah, it's not even a hard thing. And they can read every language now since, they're devils, kind of their thing. And then they go down, doing the whole high leveling thing. And they have to really get them new gear pretty quickly. But for Raftalia, he just straight up gifted her Ascalon. And said, "Here, use this." As he threw her Ascalon, she was like, "Wow." As for a gauntlet, this is when issei finally gave Philo a spiked gauntlet. He said, "It's kind of like my boosted gear." And she put it on to fight in her human form. but whenever she went into her, like, colloidal form, it basically armored up her legs to kick harder. It was so good for her. It armored her up so good. Now, these were like, okay, these are weapons that are really good, and we can use them perfectly. Although, Reptile did say Ascalon was kind of heavy to wield for her. And then Issei said, oh, I understand. And he just straight up boosted once and then transferred. And this was enough for her to be like, wow, it's like light as a feather now. Saying, yeah, it's kind of one of the side effects. Wow. Now, they have to deal, they still find the same dragon hourglass in the temple like it was nothing, you know. In this version, whenever they call the queen, tell her everything that's going on, and then they should just appear back there, they still have to deal with the whole other heroes being weak as, like, nothing. And Issei hasn't even focused on leveling up since he kind of reached level gap himself, so he just really didn't care. He kind of had no effect on his stats, really. He just amped him up a little bit. He was already too broken for their little world to handle him, so he didn't really care. Now, in this point, when he met Larg, that thing went kind of like canon, because Issei still made that thing for them, and that was the whole no problem. But in this version, whenever like they go to attack, when they have to deal with like the thing, he's actually thinking, finally, a good match. I get to fight it. And he's in the water just straight up swinging at the thing, enjoying himself. But then lo and behold, again, when he's having his fun little fight, another otherworldly thing ends his fight. As Lark straight up cut this thing down, and he said, Lark. And Lark was like, what is it? Shield hero. Why do people keep stealing my fun fights? As he said, you know what? It's me and you now. As the other three heroes went to jump in, they got completely, you know, domed by completely easily. As Issei was like, alright, all y'all, back up. Now, this did change a lot of things. Hold on a second, guys. I'm sorry about this. Alright, it's back. So, yeah. Back to this thing. In Surprise, they are, even though they're all surprised, something unexpected will happen at this point. Glass comes back down, healed completely, and then she's like, Lark, this is the guy I told you about. He's very dangerous. He beat me quite easily. What? When you came back with that broken arm, that was what it's from? Yes. Seeing the power of Issei, they have to go in a 3-on-1 just by fighting him. And even in 3-on-1, all they're able to manage to do is barely crack one of Issei's scale mail. And he's actually having a little bit of fun, because there's something that passes by his all defenses and stat actually hurts him. From Lark, he's enjoying this. And even the tortoise shell cracker finally is affecting him a little bit. He's actually enjoying it. And then the magical spells of the jewels and all that, he's so much having fun. But then he straight up just gears one swing, sending them all flying, and they're feeling so outmatched. They kind of still go retreat, saying, I'm out, as Issei is straight up about to have to kill them. Now, this is when we find that one chick, that green hair chick, and she still kind of joined Nafumi's party. She joins Issei's the way she joined Nafumi, but in this version, when it goes a little bit differently. Now, I am not very far into Season 2. I've only watched, like, one episode, so I'm sorry, guys. So I'm only, like, on episode 1 of Season 2, so sorry. I'll make a set part 2 of this once I finish Season 2. Now, this made it where Issei, you know, doing his little thing, completely overwhelmed. Like, you know how she became, like, she wanted to get the pride of that bow hero, but they really don't care about the bow hero very much on the shield side. Now, anyway, when they have to go deal with this shield, whenever they have to go, like, they're fixing up the village, and, like, she's training with them, whenever they go to, like, the queen, and they get her, like, they talk to her, and they see what's going on, and then they have to go to the slave area to see what happens, and it was to power her up, giving her one of them slave seals. Now, after she got the slave seal, another seal had to be added. Issei, Issei actually asked, "Do you want to become a devil?" What do you mean? You mean the devil of the shield things are true? No, just me. I was revived into becoming a devil, and I can revive others as I am a true king. Hearing this, it's actually surprising them. They actually say, "What do you mean you're a devil?" As his wings pop out as well as theirs, saying, "Join us." Hearing this, they're like, "Wait, what? Really?" Yes. What could I possibly be? As he looked through what his pieces would work for, and he said, sadly, a pawn. Actually, you know what? No. You'd be a bishop. Hearing this, she's like, "What? Really? I'd be a bishop?" Yes, you're magically in tune, so it would make the most sense. Alright. Placing a bishop, she became the bishop and everything, and her power skyrocketed to the point where it made all the other three heroes and their parties look like nothing. And then they said, "Well, it's kind of one of the effects. We're very powerful like that." And then it's like, okay. And then one of my little childhood friends, that little wolf dude, said, "Could I join?" And he said, "No, not right now. Maybe in the next wave, after the next wave, you'll be powerful enough, but only then." Now, this required all the training kind of stuff. Now, Issei is doing the whole thing Nafumi did, being a selling merchant while he's there, but then something unexpected happens. A real, pain to deal with kind of thing happens. The same rumor happened, and the same, creatures attacked, and Heat Reaction basically attached them to go right towards Issei, just for him to blow them all out of the water with the dragon shot. But then he thinks, I'm gonna use it. And then he goes into his demonic shield thing the way Nafumi did, and this completely covered the entire area with a boom, killing all the monsters. Now, at this point, this is where the episode ends for season 1 for episode 1 of season 2. So that's it, guys. That's it for part 1.